eating, working, living pain-free. These are a few of the things many of us take for granted. Yet, for many United States military veterans, finding and...
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. Go head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, _ Jonathan Smith, if you want to follow me there. Maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Your Indiana Pacers are now up 3-1 over the New York Knicks after that Game 4 win last night. What a game. Haliburton going crazy. Bennedict Mathurin scoring 20 points in 12 minutes off the bench. Can you be any more efficient than that? Pascal Siakam, he had 30. I mean, just an incredible game from the Indiana Pacers, who just continue to win games. It's incredible. And the head of this Indiana Pacers team, Tyrese Haliburton, just delivered the best playoff game of his short career. Maybe the best game he's played, period, regular season or playoffs, in his short career. It's one of the best playoff performances in the history of the Indiana Pacers. He did everything for his team last night. He was the first player to do several things last night. Since the 96-97 season, Tyrese Haliburton's the first player ever to record 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists in a half of a playoff game. He also had 0 turnovers. This was his second playoff triple-double in a Pacers uniform. That's the most in playoff history, in the history of the Indiana Pacers. Oscar Robertson and Nikola Jokic are the only two other players, aside from Tyrese Haliburton, to have 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 15 assists in a playoff game. Tyrese Haliburton is the only player in the history of the playoffs to have 30 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. He was incredible last night. Everything that we expect for Tyrese Haliburton to be, as people who have watched the Pacers this year, he was, and even more last night. He had a just truly historic night, and he was asked about it after the game. Here's what Pacers superstar Tyrese Haliburton had to say after, going crazy last night and picking up a win to make the series 3-1.
I didn't know that. I feel like we making up stats at some point to make me look better. But I think I'm just trying to play the right way, man. I just want to impact winning. Told you guys that for the last 2 years. I think after my third year and getting the big contract and now having to step into a new role, I think for me, it was about how can I impact winning. And I'm just trying to do that to the best of my ability. We're building something special here. We're having a lot of fun with what we're doing. And, I feel like I'm at the forefront of that along with, a lot of these guys. So I'm just trying to play the right way and play the best of my ability. That's what it's about. And I feel like I did a good job today. But, man, I feel like there's so many different opportunities for me to get better and for us as a group to get better and play better. So we'll take what we can from this game and just be ready to go for Game 5.
Tyrese Haliburton right there, just not even accepting the praise when being asked about whether or not he knew that he was the first player in the history of the NBA to have 30 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. I appreciate how he deflected the praise. I appreciate how he brought up the importance of getting better personally and as a team, because there were some areas last night where the Pacers didn't play very well. They fouled 27 times. The Knicks took 39 free throws. They allowed the Knicks to shoot 43% from 3. They gave up 13 offensive rebounds. The Pacers were not perfect in any way, shape, or form last night. They were offensively. I mean, they scored 130 points, for crying out loud, but they have to be better going forward. Not only if they want to close out the Knicks, but if they want to beat, the Oklahoma City Thunder, the team that's been the best team in the NBA all year. If they want to do something like that, which has been their goal all year. We have heard them say the word championship over and over and over again. And I'll be honest, I laughed a little bit at the start of the season when they were talking about that. But they stayed true to it. They, won 50 games this year. They did away with the Bucks in 5. They did away with the Cavaliers in 5. And they're potentially going to do away with the Knicks in 5. And part of it is not only because this roster is great, but we've seen Tyrese Haliburton get better. We have seen it. Last year, he was abused on the defensive end of the floor. Teams attacked him so much. That has not been the case this year. Round 1 against the Bucks, pretty easy to hide him. You just put him on, Taurean Prince, and you say, all right, man, go stand in the corner and guard Taurean and help when needed. Second round, they just kind of put him on Max Strus, someone who's not really going to break you down off the dribble. It's like, hey, Tyrese, just chase him around screens. And when Sam Merrill comes in, you're going to do the same thing on him. And then they get to this series, and I remember before the series started wondering, like, who is this dude going to guard? Josh Hart? No, that's what I thought was going to happen, but nope, they didn't put him on him. Instead, they opted to put him on Mikal Bridges, an excellent offensive player, and Tyrese Haliburton has done more than hold his own on that side of the floor. He has gotten better defensively, and it was something that had to happen this offseason in order for the Pacers to have a chance to make it back to the Eastern Conference Finals and win the Eastern Conference Finals, which once again, they're only one game away from doing. It doesn't happen without Tyrese Haliburton improving on the defensive end of the floor. Here is Pacers head coach Rick Carlisle talking about Tyrese Haliburton and his improvement on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, and he's doing this within the system. There isn't a lot of freelance stuff where, they're just kind of outside the box gambles. He's doing it within the system, and that's real growth. And look, he's had a lot of things happen this year. The year's been filled with ups and downs. He's remained remarkably resilient and steadfast in his belief in what we're doing and who he is. And so we need him to continue to lead us. And Siakam was great again tonight too. And I didn't even look at the stat sheet on him, but he's just making timely play after timely play. And so and we got good contributions up and down the roster.
Coach Carlisle right there talking about Tyrese Haliburton mainly, also a little bit in there on Pascal Siakam as well. Tyrese Haliburton last night, amazing on the defensive end of the floor. Not only did he have 13 points and 15 assists and 10 rebounds and no turnovers, he also had 4 steals. And as Coach Carlisle said, it all came within the system. He wasn't gambling. There was one opportunity where he gambled. That came later in the game where, Jalen Brunson kind of runs into the corner and he's about to post up, and Haliburton comes in from the backside, doubles, takes the ball away, falls to the ground, calls timeout. And I'm in my home. I'm like, yeah, I'm trying hard not to wake up my wife because she'd gone to bed by that point. And it was just awesome seeing him take advantage because he is just such a smart basketball player. And in the NBA, like you're not guarding dudes one-on-one. The request is, can you just be in the right spot? And if you're 6'6" and you have incredibly long arms like Tyrese Haliburton does, if you're in the right spot, then you're going to have an impact defensively. And we have seen him do that consistently throughout these entire playoffs. And I'm going to talk about the offense. I'm going to wax poetic about it. It's going to be great. But I wanted to make sure that I brought up the defense because we have seen this dude get better. And this is what great players do. They add to their games. They improve year after year after year. And we've seen Tyrese Haliburton do that. It was an incredible performance from him. And the Pacers needed him to do that to win last night. In big games like this one, your best players have to show up. And Tyrese Haliburton obviously showed up in a big way. He was very aggressive from the jump. Pascal Siakam, we heard Coach Carlisle mention him there in that clip. Dude scored 30. Every time the Pacers needed a bucket, he was the one who went and got it. But man, Tyrese Haliburton is the story. 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, no turnovers, 4 steals. He did everything last night. And he was, once again, the best player on the floor in this series. I thought he set the tone incredibly early. Like, you could tell that we were going to get something special from him last night because he grabbed 3 rebounds in the first 3 minutes and 45 seconds. And he would grab rebounds and he would just go. It was Draymond Green on the Warriors-esque, because whenever you play the Warriors, if Draymond Green grabs a rebound, like, that's just not good because he's going to run. He's going to facilitate. 3-point shooters are going to run the corners, and Kuminga's going to fill the lane, and all of a sudden the Warriors are getting a layup or a 3. Every time Tyrese Haliburton grabbed a rebound, he pushed the pace, and it felt like the Pacers either got a layup, a 3, or they got a mismatch somewhere. And Tyrese Haliburton was just so great at pushing the pace. Stan Van Gundy, who I think is awesome during broadcasts, he said something that I found so interesting. He said teams run based on who their point guard is, not who their coach is. And as soon as he said that, I started to pay just a little bit more attention to the pace of the game, which is saying a lot because I pay, obviously, a lot of attention to the pace whenever the Pacers play. We saw it last night. Every time Tyrese Haliburton checked out of the game, it slowed down. It grinded to a halt. Because, I love TJ McConnell. I love Mathurin. I love Nembhard. They don't push the pace the same way that Tyrese Haliburton does. They don't. And so he would check out, and the game would slow down. And then as soon as Tyrese Haliburton came back in, the pace just picked right back up. He got off to an incredible start. He came out as aggressive as I have seen him all year, really during his, throughout his entire career. First quarter, he goes for 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists. That's a good, that's a good 4 quarters for a lot of starting point guards in the NBA. He hit his first 3 threes in the first quarter. That was almost a bad thing. I thought he took a couple really bad threes because he thought he was hot, but he wasn't hot. In the first quarter, he just took open, in-rhythm threes where he got to step into it, and he knocked them down because he's a good shooter. And when shooters shoot the ball when they're open and in rhythm, they're probably going to make them. And he was in rhythm for most of the night. And I wonder if part of why he missed some of those threes in the second quarter was because Coach Carlisle didn't put him back in until there were a little over 7 minutes left in the second quarter. Coach Carlisle sat Tyrese Haliburton for 6 minutes of game time going back to the first quarter. And Coach Carlisle has been awesome all playoffs long. He did 2 things last night, though, that I did not like. He used that challenge really early in the first quarter on an Obi Toppin foul. And I thought he had done a really good job throughout the series of keeping that challenge in his pocket until he absolutely needed it. Thankfully, it didn't come back to bite them last night. And then I thought he sat Haliburton a little bit too long in that second quarter. It obviously didn't matter because Haliburton still played great. But in the moment, that irked me a little bit because the Knicks made a little push there with Haliburton on the bench. But it wasn't just the fact that Tyrese Haliburton scored 32 points. He was super efficient, 11 of 23 from the floor. 12 of his shots were threes. He hit 5 of them. The shot chart is beautiful. He used the mid-range game. Obviously, he hit threes. He got to the rim. Every time he got to the rim, something good happened for the Pacers. They had these stretches in the second and third quarter where they were just settling for way too many threes. I'm pretty sure their first 4 possessions of the second half, they took 4 threes. And I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm sure my wife is just annoyed because I'm sitting there, and I'm like, go to the rim because spacing starts at the rim. And, eventually they snap out of it. Their 5th possession, they get to the rim. And guess who's wide open in the corner? Miles Turner for 3. And he made it because he was wide open. It's amazing what happens when you put pressure on the rim. And so he was great just getting into the lane and being a facilitator. A facilitator. I'd be willing to bet that over half of his 15 assists came off of him getting to the rim and kicking it out to someone else because the Pacers actually shot the ball well from 3 last night. They were awful in game 3 shooting the basketball. It's why they lost. 5 of 25 from 3. Don't care if you're up by 20. It's not going to cut it. Last night, though, they were much better. They were 13 of 32. That is 40% from three. I told you yesterday they were going to bounce back from that bad shooting night on Sunday. And so many of those threes were generated off of dribble penetration. And a lot of it was Tyrese Haliburton, who did a great job of creating coming off ball screens, getting a switch, getting 2 feet into the lane, and making it happen. The biggest thing, though, was the mentality that he played with. I love how aggressive he was from the jump. This is what I have been begging to see from him, and he delivered it. In the biggest moment, he dominated that game from start to finish. That's what the best players in the world do. And that's what he is. He's been selected to an all-NBA team the last 2 years, and he played like that kind of a player last night. He did all of the things that we're accustomed to him doing. He shot the ball well. He found open teammates. He finished at the rim. He made a couple incredible passes. Like there's one where he's on the right wing and he comes off of a ball screen and he jumps to make a pass to Nembhard at the top of the key. And you see Josh Hart sprint from the corner. He leaves Siakam because he sees Haliburton jump and he knows where he's going with the basketball. And you see Haliburton make this incredible skip pass to the corner. Like he was just constantly one step ahead of the New York Knicks and their defense. He was the best player on the floor. Everything that he normally does, he did last night. He just did it at a higher level, and he rebounded, and he had 4 steals. This is what superstars do. They get better in big games. And Tyrese Haliburton did that last night. He is one of the best 15 players in the world. He has been for the last 2 years now. Is he a top 10 player? Maybe. I don't know. But he looks like one last night. The way that he got his teammates involved, the way that he hit big shots. This is what you want from your best player. And the Pacers have a guy in Tyrese Haliburton who does better, who improves in the biggest moments. This dude is awesome. I hope he's a Pacer for forever. Give him however much money he wants. Give him however much money you can give him, because he is 1,000% deserving of it. The way that he has made his teammates better, the way that he doesn't say stupid things at the podium, the way that he is all about winning, the way that he is all about getting better. It is a contagious thing. And the leadership of this Pacers team between Tyrese Haliburton and Pascal Siakam is a large part of why the Pacers are where they're at. And people are going to talk a lot about Tyrese Haliburton today, and rightfully so. But how about Pascal Siakam last night? Showing up in just a huge way. He was every bit as important as Tyrese Haliburton was last night, even though he won't get the recognition from a lot of people. My thoughts on Pascal Siakam and how important he's been, not just last night, but all season, really since he showed up. When we come back here in about 4 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy's Sports Ticket. Go ahead over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, __ Jonathan Smith. If you want to follow me and watch the show there, maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you get your apps. Tyrese Haliburton with a legendary performance last night. If you're a Pacers fan, you're going to be telling your kids or grandkids about that performance a decade from now. That's how good he was last night. And what's going to be lost in all of Tyrese Haliburton's greatness is Pascal Siakam and how great he was last night. He's not going to get the recognition of Tyrese Haliburton, but he was awesome. 30 points on 11 of 21 shooting. He only had 5 rebounds, but he hit a couple big shots. Late in the game, the Knicks are making a push. They cut the lead to 6, and you're just like, geez. The Pacers hadn't made a field goal in the last 3 minutes. And then Pascal Siakam hits a big 3 from the corner to cut it to 9. Just big shot after big shot. He came out very aggressive. 11 points, easy in the first quarter. I mean, he just went at everyone that defended him except for OG Anunoby. Because outside of OG Anunoby, the Knicks do not have a player that can defend Pascal Siakam. OG Anunoby is the only one. Josh Hart's too small. Mikal Bridges is too thin. I don't have to go into Jalen Brunson. Karl Anthony Towns is too slow. Mitchell Robinson's too slow. OG Anunoby's the only guy who can defend Pascal Siakam. And I felt good about him after that first quarter. It's like, all right, we're getting aggressive game 2 Pascal Siakam. Then he only scored 2 points in the second quarter. And I was like, oh, geez. Is he going to do that thing where, he gets off to a hot start and then he just kind of, disappears? I really hope not. And he didn't, thankfully. And the third quarter, I just got giddy. I'm sitting there. I'm, grinning ear to ear. And my wife's like, Jonathan, why are you so happy right now? And I'm like, oh, because Pascal Siakam is finally doing the thing that I have been begging for him to do in this series. The Pacers, they had this lineup out on the floor where Pascal Siakam had to defend Karl Anthony Towns because the Knicks were playing 2 bigs. They had Mitchell Robinson and Towns on the floor, and the Pacers had both Tony Bradley and Pascal Siakam on the floor. And so the Knicks did exactly what they should do. They went at Pascal Siakam because Pascal Siakam cannot defend Karl Anthony Towns. And the Knicks picked on that matchup, as they should have. And thankfully, the Pacers finally went back at it. Because, yes, Karl Anthony Towns has been so problematic in this series. The Pacers have no answer for that dude. The fact that he only took 15 shots last night is insane. If I'm the Knicks, I'm making sure that he's taking 23, 24, 25 shots a night because the Pacers just don't have any sort of answer for him. And so he's going at Siakam. He's going at Miles Turner. He's going at Tony Bradley. And the Pacers are finally like, wait, Karl Anthony Towns can't defend Pascal Siakam. And so what they do, they gave Siakam the ball on the perimeter. They had him face up and go at him. He broke his ankles, made him touch the earth the first time that they did it. And it was like there was this light bulb that went off of, wait, Karl Anthony Towns lacks the lateral quickness to stay in front of Pascal Siakam. And so they went to it a lot. Siakam would face up on the perimeter, and he would either score, get a good shot for himself, or get a good shot for someone else every single time. Like I've been saying, the only dude for the Knicks who can defend Pascal Siakam is OG Anunoby. He's the only one. That's it. There is nobody else. It is a list of one. And in order for the Pacers to close the New York Knicks out, he has to continue to be aggressive. The Pacers need him, especially early in Game 5 tomorrow, if the Pacers want a chance to close out the Knicks on the road on Thursday. I'm willing to bet a lot of these Pacer players are either going to come out overly amped up or extremely nervous with a chance to get to the finals on the line. He's going to have to be the player that settles them in. And I think he will be. Okay, he is the most experienced player on this roster by a mile. He's going to be ready to go for Game 5 because he's been in this spot before. Just like, he was ready to go for Game 4 last night. But he is so important to this Pacers team, not only because he's experienced, but he's just so mature, and he is just fully bought in. Here he is after the game talking to Charles Barkley.
He don't run no plays for you, and you end up, when you go crazy some games, do you ever say, man, if y'all ran a play for me every now and then, I can get 25 a night?
I mean, that's not who we are, man. At the end of the day, the team knows, coach knows, and that's the identity that we've had, since I've been here. One of the reasons I love playing here is just that, at the end of the day, it's just all about the team. And I'm always gonna fit in, man. I told him, just I'm here whenever you need me. I'm always ready. But it's all about team for us.
It's all about team for us. Pascal Siakam talking to Charles Barkley there. Charles Barkley asking, do you ever ask them to run more plays for you? And he doesn't have to. He's a great player. He scores within the flow of the offense. And, that's huge. His ability to go down and post up and, take advantage of smaller defenders and go by guys like Karl Anthony Towns. That's big because he's a guy who can settle the Pacers into their offense. But as great as that has been, his experience, his ability to be like, hey, guys, we haven't done anything yet. We've won 3 games in the Eastern Conference Finals. That's cool. We got to win one more to get to the conference finals. His buy-in as well has been huge for the Pacers. You have to have buy-in from your best players, and then everyone else follows. Tyrese Haliburton is fully bought in, and so is Pascal Siakam. And having a guy who has won a title, a guy who is probably the most mature guy in that locker room, and that's saying a lot because I think the Pacers have a lot of very mature players. Having a guy like that kind of lead the charge of, hey, we're a team. I'm not going to demand that you run plays for me every time down. I'm not going to do anything like that. I'm just going to buy into my role. If we need a bucket, I can go on the block. But if we don't, you don't have to run plays for me, and I'm still going to get, 20 points a night. So as big as his shot making has been in this series, that buy-in and that willingness to just do whatever the team needs, it's huge. And you have to have that from your best players. You have to have dudes that are just whatever's best for the team, I just want to win. You have to have that if you want to make it this far and if you want to get past this point. The Knicks, they have it as well. It's part of why they're here. They told that story last night. Allie LaForce, she reported on it saying that Josh Hart went to Tibbs and the rest of that staff and said, hey, if I need to be moved to the bench, then let's do it. I just want to win. And in order to win, you have to sacrifice. For Pascal Siakam, he's probably sacrificed some numbers and some touches, but that's part of why he likes playing here, is everyone is willing to sacrifice to make sure that they win games. And that is a special, special thing because you don't get that everywhere. There's plenty of players in the NBA and in college and on down that they don't care about winning. They want to score 25 points, and they want all the ladies to love them after because they scored 25 points. Hard to win with guys like that. It's so much easier to win when you have guys like Tyrese Haliburton, who understood that he had to get better in the offseason. It's easier to win with guys like Pascal Siakam, who are cool with not having plays ran for them as long as they win. And that's huge. And, the whole winning part, very important. It's just incredible. It's incredible what we've seen from Siakam and Haliburton so far in these playoffs. Just the buy-in and the leadership. New stat alert on Tyrese Haliburton. He is the all-time leader in games with 15 assists and 0 turnovers. Actually, no, he's not. He's the leader since he entered the league. He's done it 11 times. Chris Paul's done it 4 times. James Harden's done it once, and Nikola Jokic has done it once. The dude just, like Haliburton said, they're just making up stats to make him look good at this point. And it's just really impressive what he did last night. But what Pascal Siakam did, hitting big shots late, can't go unnoticed either, because both of those guys did exactly what you want from your best players in big games. You know, Pascal Siakam gets 30. Tyrese Haliburton gets 32. They both took 6 free throws, which is a lot for both of them. You know, Siakam actually made his free throws. He'd been struggling. He'd been like under 70% for the playoffs. And then last night he goes 5 of 6 from the foul line. He goes 3 of 4 from 3. He was just he was incredible. He was everything that the Pacers needed him to be. He was. And he wasn't the only one who stepped up and played well. I thought Nesmith played well. I thought, Miles Turner was good. He wasn't great, but he was good. Like, you could feel his impact during different stretches. I thought TJ McConnell struggled. But Bennedict Mathurin, finally, it's about time, Ben, comes in off the bench and was so important for the Indiana Pacers and their win. We'd kind of been waiting on it. This is a guy who just, you didn't even notice when he was on the floor in the first 3 games in this series. And then last night, you couldn't miss him. He was extremely impactful in a very limited amount of time. Bennedict Mathurin, his big night, what led into it was incredible. Like, to see a young player be that resilient and then, get called on in really random spots, and to be able to go out and execute and score at a level that the Pacers expect him to score at. Coach Carlisle was very impressed by it. I've got the audio of Coach Carlisle talking about Bennedict Mathurin when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. So head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, _ Jonathan Smith, if you want to follow me there and watch the show there. Or maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you find your apps. Now, Bennedict Mathurin last night. It's about time, man. Thank you for finally showing up. Thank you for finally playing a role in the Pacers and their ability to go up 3-1 over the New York Knicks. And, you know, I talked about him a bit yesterday and how he'd struggled and how he hadn't really been very aggressive. And he was very aggressive last night. I figured he would play better. But that being said, didn't expect him to score 20 points in 12 minutes. That's insane. That's incredible. He also had 2 assists and 2 rebounds. And in Coach Carlisle's opening statement last night, he made a very brief statement about Bennedict Mathurin and just how proud he was of Mathurin and his ability to just kind of stay in it, even though he wasn't playing well and probably not playing as much as he wanted to.
Proud of Ben Mathurin. The guy has stayed ready. Came in yesterday, worked, got shooting in, got some simulated game shots. Have just been encouraging him to stay ready, that we need him, and that the playoffs they're just a different animal. And so tonight he was great. Really gave us a huge lift and some really timely buckets. So really proud of him.
Coach Carlisle right there with just brief thoughts on Mathurin and how well he played last night. And Mathurin just finally did the thing that makes him special. He did the thing that makes him special. He took 8 shots. Only 2 of them were threes. He took 11 free throws. 11 free throws in 12 minutes is absurd. He was relentless getting to the rim. Some of the free throws came off of getting fouled by going after rebounds. He was awesome. He was awesome. Okay, like the dude was all over the place, attacking the rim. He got in a stance. He defended. He went after rebounds. He made the right reads. He played within the flow of the offense. Like, he couldn't have played any better. Like, 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists in 12 minutes is absurd. It is. It's truly absurd. And I think part of why he was so great last night was because he got going early. Like, he checked in and he scored his first basket 4 seconds. 4 seconds after he came off the bench. 30 seconds after he checked in, he hit his second shot. He was just within the flow of the offense early. He got his rhythm going early because he got a layup. And when you see that first shot go through, man, like, that is such a nice feeling. Such a nice feeling. So that got him going, hitting those first 2 shots early. And that leads to him scoring an insane 20 points in 12 minutes. 11 free throws in 12 minutes is also pretty insane. And he was so good in those minutes before the fourth quarter and at the start of the fourth quarter that Rick Carlisle opted to play him over Andrew Nembhard when he subbed all of the starters in with around 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Usually, Coach Carlisle goes all starters there, but Mathurin was so good in the first 11 minutes that he played that he went with Mathurin, but it only lasted for like 2 possessions. Mathurin goes down the floor. He takes a 3 while fading into the bench in the right corner. And then Carlisle was like, no, absolutely not. Nembhard, you go ahead and get back in there. He pulled the plug on that so fast, but it doesn't erase all of the good stuff that Mathurin had done before that happened. And the fact that Coach Carlisle was going to leave him out there with the starters before that bad shot speaks to how well he was playing. And this is why you keep showing up. This is why you have to stay in it, especially if you're a role player. It doesn't matter how bad Tyrese Haliburton or Pascal Siakam play. Like, they are still going to get a ton of touches. They're going to get a ton of looks. They have a very long leash because those are the two best players on this Pacers team. Simple as that. But if you're a role player, your opportunities go up and down. And you have to be ready when you get the chance. And to Bennedict Mathurin's credit, he was ready last night. And he played a big role in helping the Pacers close quarters, something that they finally did. They finally closed quarters well. You know, like they'd be up by 3, and then they'd push it up to 7 in the final 90 seconds of each quarter. I mean, finally, it's about time. It's only taken them, 4 games to figure out how to close quarters, and Bennedict Mathurin was a large part of that. There's always a few bench guys on the floor at the end of these quarters, and the bench guys for the Pacers were really, really good at the end of quarters. I thought the Pacers also did a much better job of dealing with Karl Anthony Towns in the fourth quarter last night. They were horrific in game 3 of dealing with that dude. Instead of scoring 20 points in the fourth quarter, he only scored 8 points in the fourth quarter last night, and it was on 3 of 7 shooting. That's much easier to deal with. That's a lot easier. I thought that the defense on Jalen Brunson was so much better. So much better. Aaron Nesmith did an incredible job. Anyone else didn't. But man, and Nesmith, dude, he was so freaking good. Golly. But Jalen Brunson gets off to that really hot start. He scores 13 points, 5 of 9 shooting. And after that, he wasn't great. After that, he scored 18 points on 4 of 10 shooting. If it wasn't for the free throws, he wouldn't have put up those numbers. Speaking of which, the Knicks whistle last night was crazy. I thought those officials were awful. Anyway, Aaron Nesmith and the rest of the Pacer defenders did a good enough job of making him work, even though Aaron Nesmith is still by far the best defender on Jalen Brunson so far in this series. You have to have guys who can defend like that. And Aaron Nesmith has consistently been probably the third best player on this Pacers team. And that's so important. He's hit big threes. He got off to a really good start early in that game. And it's just been so incredible seeing him play. And last night he's out there, he's on a bad ankle, and he just finds a way to be impactful. He looked fine, by the way. I thought he moved really well. Check out this stat. So Jalen Brunson scored 31 points last night. And listen to these crazy numbers. When Jalen Brunson was defended by Aaron Nesmith, he was defended by Aaron Nesmith for 30 minutes last night. Jalen Brunson was 3 of 13 from the field. He only scored 10 points when defended by Aaron Nesmith. And in the 7 minutes that Jalen Brunson was not defended by Aaron Nesmith, Jalen Brunson was 6 of 6 from the field. He was 7 of 8 from the foul line, and he scored 21 points. Jeez, that's just incredible. His ability, Aaron Nesmith's, to defend that dude. And it's why the Pacers won. Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson, I didn't think either one of them were great. I know Brunson had 31. I know Karl Anthony Towns had some good stretches, but neither one of them were as good start to finish as Tyrese Haliburton was. The Pacers also forced 17 turnovers. They scored 20 points off of those turnovers. They got out rebounded by 11, but because they forced so many turnovers, they were able to stay in the game. 20 points off turnovers is huge, especially when you only give up 9 to New York. They dominated the pace. They scored 22 points on the fast break. They got layups after, the Knicks would score, and then the Pacers would take the ball out of the net, get it up to Haliburton, one pass layup. They pushed the pace all game. And the moments where it seemed like the Knicks were making a push, it came when the pace slowed down. The Pacers controlled the speed of that game more so than the Knicks did, and that's why they won. And it's, the thing about Tyrese Haliburton that hasn't been discussed enough is yes, he scored all these points and he had all these assists, but he did what great point guards do. He controlled the speed and the pace of that game. And that is the most important thing that he can do for this Pacers team. Aaron Nesmith was obviously good. I talked about his ability to, defend Brunson. That was huge. He was a game high plus 20. He looked normal from the start. He hits 2 threes early in that first quarter. He had a dunk in transition. He was a pest the entire game, as he tends to be. He fights over screens as well as anyone. If the Pacers and Thunder end up meeting in the finals, because both teams still have to win one more game, 13 times in the history of the NBA, we've seen teams come back from down 3-1. Like it's happened before. The series is not over. But I can't wait to see him have to try to defend Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. It's going to be so interesting. I thought Miles Turner was impactful as well. He was even on the night, which feels like an improvement because Karl Anthony Towns just cooks him every chance that he gets. He had 3 blocks on the night. I don't like that he fouled out, but the Knicks got every whistle. Turner scored on the block. Like he didn't, he hit 1 3, I think. Yeah, he hit 1 3. He was 4 or 5 from inside the arc. I thought he was good. I think he was great. He turned it over, 4 times, which is obviously way too many. But I thought he was good. I thought he was impactful. Had a couple big blocks late. One on Cat, one on Josh Hart. Like he was good. So, the guys for the Pacers that needed to play well, Siakam, Haliburton, Nesmith, and Turner, like they were all good. And then you get, the 20 off the bench from Mathurin, and you're in great shape. Andrew Nembhard was not good. Only scored 3 points. He was 1 of 9 from the floor, and he has not been great. After the series against the Bucks, he's been a little more up and down. People were going crazy. Playoff riser Andrew Nembhard. Not right now. I'm still waiting on him to have a big game in this series. Maybe it comes in game 5. Once again, only 3 points, 1 of 9 from the floor. He struggled to defend OG Anunoby. He's hadn't been great defending Brunson. He's just been bad in this series. 3 points last night, only 9 points on Sunday in game 3. He was 2 of 9 from the field. Game 2, he was good, I guess. 12 points, only 2 assists. Game 1 was probably his best game in the series. 15 points, 4 assists. There's been no outburst like game 1 against Cleveland when he went for 23 and 6, or game 2 against Cleveland where he goes for 13 points and 13 assists. Like he hasn't had a game like that. Maybe part of that is because it feels like Tyrese Haliburton has had the ball a little bit more often in this series than he has in the past. Maybe that's part of it, but it just doesn't feel like we're getting these consistently good Andrew Nembhard games. So need him to step up a little bit, especially if the Pacers want to beat the Thunder, if they end up making the NBA Finals and if they end up playing them. Obviously, game 5 of that series, Thunder and Wolves, it's tonight. And, I can't wait. I think the Thunder are going to win that game, and I hope they don't. I hope the Wolves win. I need that series to go 7. We want the Pacers to have that rest advantage going into that series. So hopefully the Timberwolves win tonight and the Pacers win tomorrow night. That way they can, get just a little bit more rest than the Thunder before the NBA Finals start. Other just really quick things right quick. Voluntary OTAs start for the Colts today. No pads yet, but we're getting closer to see who can really play between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. There's no more throwing the football one on nobody. They can actually run 11 on 11 and 7 on 7. So we're going to start learning about how those two players stack up pretty quickly here, which is exciting. The Fever, they play tonight. I can't wait to see the ratings. Seriously. The WNBA is going to try to bury them. They're going to do everything they can to make sure that nobody sees them because they're going to go down since Caitlin Clark's not playing. But we're going to find them, and we're going to talk about them. See Fitz chiming in on Twitter. If you want to be part of the show, you can comment on the YouTube page, Indie Sports Ticket. If you want to watch the show there, you can also tweet at me at __ Jonathan Smith. What would the Chet versus Miles matchup look like? Chet Holmgren's the better player, and he should be. Like, he was the number 2 overall pick. I don't think that the Thunder would actually put Chet Holmgren on Miles Turner. I think they would put Chet on Pascal Siakam. They would put Isaiah Hartenstein on Miles Turner. And we saw that matchup last year. It's an interesting contrast of styles that, Miles Turner would be involved in a lot of screen and rolls defending Hartenstein. And Miles Turner isn't always great in those spots. You got to worry about that little floater from Hartenstein. But at the same time, the Thunder want Hartenstein around the rim because he's a pretty solid rim protector. Chet Holmgren a little bit better in that area, which is part of why they put him on Siakam, because Siakam's around the bucket a little bit more often than Miles Turner is. But we'd see Turner pull Hartenstein away. Holmgren would be able to help a little bit off of Siakam, but I don't really think that we'd get Chet versus Miles. I think it would be more of Siakam versus Chet and Hartenstein versus Miles, just based off of how those teams want to do it. Because while I don't love Turner on the block, he just looks awkward. He could definitely post up Chet, but Chet Holmgren would give him issues because he's just a better athlete, moves better than Turner. So hopefully we don't get Chet versus Miles. Hopefully we get Hartenstein versus Miles and we get Siakam on Chet. But we'll see. We'll see. We'll preview all that when it's actually punched. Pacers got to win one more game. They're going to have an excellent chance to do it tomorrow night in the Garden, because they've just been so good on the road throughout these playoffs. When we come back here in about 4 minutes, we're going to talk about why they've been so good on the road in these playoffs.
do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket as we continue to discuss the Pacers and their big-time Game 4 win over the New York Knicks last night. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. Head over there and subscribe. Hop in the chat, be part of the conversation. Like Gritty chiming in, asking or saying that a lot of people think that the Pacers will for sure win the Knicks series. Are you confident? Are you that confident as well? I am not. I am. We've only seen it 13 times before where a team has come back from down 3-1 in a series and won in the NBA. It doesn't happen very often. I also think that the Pacers are pretty simply the better team. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about them wrapping this up. Will it be in 5? I don't know. Will it be in 6? Maybe. I don't know. I don't think it gets to 7, though. I think the Pacers either end it coming up on Thursday night or they'll end it on Saturday or whenever Game 6 would be. So I do like the Pacers to close this out at some point and punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. 1 game away. It's a lot of games, but still, like it's going to be tough, man, to peel that last game off New York. But like I said, I do think that the Pacers are the better team, and hopefully they're able to pull this off and they don't find some way to collapse. Now, let's go. Tim Legler coming on the Dan Dockett show today at 1:30. Can't wait. Love Legs. Legs is so nice to me, even when he's not coming on the show. He's the best. Anyway, as I was saying, Tyrese Haliburton is such a large part of as to why the Indiana Pacers have been so good on the road. He's why they won last night. He just delivered the best playoff game of his short career. It's one of the best playoff performances in the history of the NBA. It's one of the best playoff performances in the history of the Indiana Pacers. He did everything last night. It is he just played arguably the best game of his career, regular season, postseason, whatever. He was the first player to do a lot of things last night. First player since the 96-97 season to record 20 points, 9 rebounds, and 9 assists in a half of a playoff game. He also has 0 turnovers. That was his second triple-double in a Pacers uniform in the playoffs. That is the most playoff triple-doubles in the history of the Indiana Pacers. 2. Tyrese Haliburton, the Big O, and Nikola Jokic are the only 3 players to ever have 30 points, 10 rebounds, and 15 assists in a playoff game. Tyrese Haliburton is the only player in the history of the NBA playoffs to do that with no turnovers. 30 points, 10 rebounds, 15 assists, and 0 turnovers. He had a historic night last night. Historic. No other word for it. And he was asked about it. Someone went through all those numbers that I just went through, and they asked him if he was aware that he had been, the first player to do all of these different things. And here's what Tyrese Haliburton had to say about that.
I didn't know that. I feel like we making up stats at some point to make me look better. But I think I'm just trying to play the right way, man. I just want to impact winning. Told you guys that for the last 2 years. I think after my 3rd year and getting the big contract and now having to step into a new role, I think for me, it was about how can I impact winning. And I'm just trying to do that to the best of my ability. We're building something special here. We're having a lot of fun with what we're doing. And, I feel like I'm at the forefront of that along with, a lot of these guys. So I'm just trying to play the right way and play the best of my ability. That's what it's about. And I feel like I did a good job today. But, man, I feel like there's so many different opportunities for me to get better and for us as a group to get better and play better. So we'll take what we can from this game and just be ready to go for Game 5.
Tyrese Haliburton right there, being asked about him being the first person to do all of these different and amazing things. And I appreciate how he deflected the praise. I appreciate how he brought up the importance of getting better personally and getting better as a team, because that's the only way that you get to this point. Because they got swept last year in the Eastern Conference Finals. And in order for them to reach this point, to win 3 games in the Eastern Conference Finals, like, they had to improve. Players had to get better. More specifically, Tyrese Haliburton had to get better. And we've seen it throughout these playoffs. He is such an improved defensive player. He is so much better this year than he was last year. The Celtics picked on him repeatedly until he got hurt. The Bucks put him in every action last year. The Knicks went at him repeatedly. And you can't do that to him this year. He has gotten so much better. Coming into this series, I was concerned about where they were going to put Tyrese Haliburton. I thought that they put him on Josh Hart. And then I realized that they put him on Mikal Bridges, a guy who has been like a number 1 option on a playoff team before when he was playing for the Nets, a really good number 3 option on that Phoenix Suns team that played in the NBA Finals 5 years ago or 4 years ago, whatever it ends up being. And so they put him on Mikal Bridges, and I was nervous. It's like, oh, geez, like we're going to find out really quickly if Tyrese Haliburton has actually gotten better as a defender. And the answer is an overwhelming yes. He is so much better. He's just where he's supposed to be at all times. And when you're where you're supposed to be and you're 6'6" and you've got, like, you know, go gadget arms the way that Tyrese Haliburton does, then you're going to be better defensively and you're going to be more impactful. And we saw it last night. 4 steals, you know, between those steals and the 12 rebounds, he really helped the Pacers kind of set that fast pace. And Coach Carlisle was asked after the game about the 4 steals and how much better, you know, Tyrese Haliburton has gotten on defense.
Yeah, and he's doing this within the system. You know, there isn't a lot of freelance stuff where, you know, they're just kind of outside the box gambles. You know, he's doing it within the system, and that's real growth. And look, he's had a lot of things happen this year. You know, the year's been filled with ups and downs. He's remained remarkably resilient and steadfast in, you know, his belief in what we're doing and who he is. And so, you know, we need him to continue to lead us. And, you know, Siakam was great again tonight too. And I didn't even look at the stat sheet on him, but, you know, he's just making timely play after timely play. And so, and we got good contributions up and down the roster.
Rick Carlisle right there talking about Tyrese Haliburton and his 4 steals and just how much better he's gotten on that side of the ball. Haliburton was just incredible last night. There's no other way to describe it. And the Pacers needed him to be incredible in order to win that game. In big games, like the one last night, your best players have to show up and be great. Pascal Siakam had 30 last night, 30 points and 5 rebounds. And as Coach Carlisle said in that clip, he made timely play after timely play. And Tyrese Haliburton was the engine last night. 32 points, 12 rebounds, 15 assists, no turnovers, 4 steals. He did everything for that Indiana Pacers team. And he was the best player on the floor the whole game. The whole game. I thought he set the tone early. And when he came out and he grabbed 3 rebounds in the first 3 minutes and 45 seconds that allowed the Pacers to get out and run, that to me was an early indication of the efforts and the force that we're going to see Tyrese Haliburton play with last night. And he did. He got that pace moving early. The pace was up so quickly in those first 4 minutes of the game because of Tyrese Haliburton and his rebounding. Stan Van Gundy said this during the broadcast. I love when Stan Van Gundy does games. I feel like I always leave with something that I'm like, geez, that's true. I knew that, but I didn't know that. You know what I mean? And last night, he said that teams run based on who their point guard is, not who their coach is. And we saw that all night last night. Every time Tyrese Haliburton checked out of the game, it slowed down immediately. Like it grinded to a halt. And part of that was free throws, you know, because the Knicks took 7 billion free throws last night. And part of it is just because TJ McConnell and Andrew Nembhard and, you know, Bennedict Mathurin, they just don't push the pace as well as Tyrese Haliburton does. And every time Tyrese Haliburton would come back into the game, the pace would pick right back up. Okay, he got off to a great start, Tyrese Haliburton did. And it was because he came out as aggressive as I've seen him all year, regular season or post. 15 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, all in that first quarter. Like, there's good starting point guards in the NBA who, if they finished the game with 15 points, 5 rebounds, and 6 assists, they would be over the moon. They would be. He had that in the first quarter. He had his first 3 threes. That was almost a bad thing. I thought he took a couple of bad threes in that second quarter because he thought he was hot, but he wasn't hot. Like, if you look at the first 3 threes that he made in that first quarter, they were open, in rhythm threes. Okay, like, he wasn't shooting over anybody or anything like that. Like, they were just, like, one was catch and shoot. He dribbled into the other 2, and they went in. Because when good players shoot the ball in rhythm, they tend to hit shots. And that is what Tyrese Haliburton did last night. He was in a rhythm most of the night. And, you know, like I said, he had a couple bad shots that he took there in that second quarter. There's a part of me, though, that just kind of wonders, like, did he take bad shots in that second quarter just because he kind of got out of rhythm? Rick Carlisle has been outstanding through this postseason. Like, he has done such a good job. I thought he made 2 mistakes last night. I thought that he left Haliburton on the bench for too long in that second quarter. He didn't check in until a little over 7 minutes left. He sat for 6 minutes worth of game time when you go back into that first quarter. And I wonder if that kind of took him out of his rhythm a little bit, and that's why he took some bad threes that didn't go in that second quarter. I also thought that Coach Carlisle used his challenge too early last night. He used it in the first quarter on an Obi Toppin foul. Don't love that. I thought that what he had been doing before last night, you know, holding on to his challenge until late in the game, I thought that was a great strategy because I would rather have an extra possession in the fourth quarter than in the first quarter with 3 minutes left. So, but aside from that, Coach Carlisle, he has pressed every right button in this series, and he's been amazing. But I didn't understand why he left him on the bench for so long in that second quarter. But it wasn't just the fact that Tyrese Haliburton scored 32 points last night. It was the efficiency in which he did it. 32 points on 23 shots. He was 11 of 23 from the floor, which, you know, he took 12 of those shots were threes. He hit 5 of them. The shot chart is beautiful. You know, he used the mid-range game. Obviously, he hit, some threes. He got to the rim. And every time he got to the rim, something good happened for the Pacers. And I know my wife, love her, thankful. I'm glad that she loves me as much as she does, because I'm sure that there were moments last night where I'm driving her crazy because, like, there were just stretches for the Pacers last night where they took just too many threes. Like, in the second quarter, they had a stretch where they settled a bunch. To open the second half, they took 4 straight threes on their first 4 possessions, and the ball never touched the paint. And then on their 5th possession, Miles Turner, he had a 3 in the corner. But Haliburton got into the lane, and he was wide open in the corner. And what a shocker. They got an open 3, and it went in. It wasn't contested, and it's just amazing. Every time the Pacers got to the rim, something good happened. And I would be willing to bet that if you went back and you watched all 15 of Tyrese Haliburton's assists last night, over half of them came because he got to the rim. Because spacing starts at the rim, you get to the rim, the defense collapses, and you kick. And then you score, because that's how this works. And they shot the ball well last night. The Pacers did 13 of 32 from 3. That's 40%. I told you yesterday they were going to bounce back from their bad shooting night on Sunday. Like, they weren't going to shoot 20% from 3 again. And so many of those threes came off of dribble penetration. Haliburton, I thought, was great coming off of screens and creating for other guys off those screens, whether that was hitting rollers or making skip passes. He made this one pass where he was standing on the right wing, and he comes off this screen and he jumps to hit, I think it was Andrew Nembhard at the top because he was open. and you see Josh Hart standing in the corner, you see him just completely abandon Pascal Siakam to, try to get to Andrew Nembhard because he can see where Haliburton's making this pass. And Haliburton just changes his mind in midair and fires a rifle over the top of the defense to Pascal Siakam in the corner, who then hit a three. It was an incredible pass, and it was just amazing from Haliburton. Like, you see that pass, and it's like, gee, like, this dude is absolutely dialed in. He is a full step ahead of everything that this Knicks defense is doing. And it was so much fun to watch. And I think that the biggest thing with him last night was this highly aggressive mentality that he played with. I love how aggressive he was from the jump. And, like, this is what I've been begging to see from him. And he delivered. He dominated that game from start to finish. And that is what the best players in the world do. That's what they do. In big games, they show up and they play great. Tyrese Haliburton has been selected to an all-NBA team 2 years in a row now. And he played like that kind of dude last night. Okay, he did all of the things that we are accustomed to seeing him do. He shot the ball well. He passed the ball. He created for his teammates. He finished at the rim. All things that we're used to seeing him doing. He just did it at a higher level. He just did it at a higher level. And he had 4 steals. And he rebounded. Like, this is what superstars do. They get better in big games. And Tyrese Haliburton did exactly that. He's done it all playoffs long. He is one of the 15 best players in the world. Is he a top 10 player? I don't know. But he looks like one when he's surrounded by this many good players. And part of why they look like good players is because they're playing with Tyrese Haliburton. He just elevates everybody around him. And that's what the best players do. It's just incredible. I can't wait to see how he looks on Thursday, tomorrow. Like, the Pacers, they haven't done anything yet. But hopefully tomorrow night they can actually do something. And by that, I mean punch their ticket to the NBA Finals. As great as Tyrese Haliburton was, they don't win that game without guys like Bennedict Mathurin and Pascal Siakam. My thoughts on both of their performances last night when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
The best takes. Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there, subscribe, hop in the live stream, be part of the conversation. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, _ Jonathan Smith. If you want to follow me there, you can watch the show there as well. Or maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app that you can download wherever you find your apps. How about Pascal Siakam last night? How about him? He won't get the recognition that he deserves because Haliburton went nuts. Well, just the Haliburton game. Insane. But Pascal Siakam was pretty awesome as well. 30 points on 11 of 21 shooting. Only had 5 rebounds. That irks me a little bit. But, you know, when you hit a couple big shots late and you make every play, he got a big rebound late as well. I'm not going to be upset with you for only grabbing 5 boards. When the Knicks cut that lead from 9 to 6, you know, Mikal Bridges hits a 3 at the top of the key. And I was like, oh, geez, here we go. And because the Pacers had kind of been stumbling a little bit, the half-court offense didn't look good. And then Pascal Siakam hits a corner 3. And he puts them back up 9. The Pacers hadn't made a field goal in the previous 3 minutes up until Siakam had hit that shot. And I was like, oh, hallelujah. And it made sense that it was him. Because he's been in these spots before. He's been in big-time, intense playoff games. Big-time, intense Eastern Conference Finals games. And it just made so much sense that he would be the one to kind of hit a big shot to kind of settle the Pacers down. Because he hit that shot and they played even in the final 4 minutes of that game. And I appreciate that not only did Tyrese Haliburton come out incredibly aggressive, so did Pascal Siakam. Siakam was so aggressive. 11 points in that first quarter. He scored pretty easily. He went at everyone that guarded him except for OG Anunoby. And I felt good about him. It's like, all right, man, like he's looking for a shot. He's posting up when he gets a mismatch. This is great. And then he scored 2 points in that second quarter. And I was like, geez. Here we go. And I was worried that he was going to do that thing where he just kind of disappears. But he didn't. Because the third quarter, he finally did the thing that I had been waiting for him to do in this series. So the Knicks come out. Jalen Brunson's on the bench. It's Karl Anthony Towns and Mitchell Robinson. The Knicks are running that 2-big lineup that, throughout the playoffs has actually bode pretty well for them. And so because of that, they have to put Pascal Siakam on Karl Anthony Towns, and they have to put Tony Bradley on Mitchell Robinson. And the Knicks were like, sweet. Because they know that Pascal Siakam can't defend Karl Anthony Towns. And so the Knicks picked on that matchup. He faced up. He posted up Siakam. He did all the things that make Karl Anthony Towns a great player. And, Towns has clearly been a problem for the Pacers throughout this series. Like they don't have an answer for him. But the Pacers were finally like, you know what? Karl Anthony Towns can't defend Pascal Siakam either. And so they gave Siakam the ball, on the perimeter that are, 18 feet away from the basket. The first time they did, Pascal Siakam made Karl Anthony Towns touch the earth before nailing a nice little mid-range jumper. Okay? And they went at him because Karl Anthony Towns cannot defend Pascal Siakam. He can't defend him. And he just, in any way, shape, or form. Siakam is very simply too quick and too skilled for Karl Anthony Towns. He scored or got a good shot for someone else every time he went at Towns last night. And like I've been saying, the only player for the New York Knicks who can defend him is OG Anunoby. That's it. And if OG Anunoby's not defending him, then he has to continue to be aggressive for the Pacers to close out the New York Knicks. He has to be. It is a requirement for them to get this done because he's the only guy on this roster who's played heavy minutes in a closeout conference finals game. He's the only one. No one else has. So I expect for him to come out very aggressive to start Game 5 tomorrow, because I think he's going to have to just to kind of settle the Pacers in, because like Haliburton's this is the biggest game. Like every player for the Pacers, this is the biggest game of their career, except for Pascal Siakam. He's the only one who's been in this spot. So I expect him to come out early. I think they establish him pretty quickly, because I do think that a lot of these Pacer players tomorrow night are going to come out very amped up or very nervous with a chance to get to the NBA Finals on the line. So he's going to be the player that I think settles them in Game 5. You know, he's just the most experienced player on this Pacers roster by a mile. He's going to be ready to go for Game 5, just like he was Game 4 last night. And his maturity and just his ability to kind of calm everybody down has been so big throughout these playoffs, and really ever since he showed up last year. Here he is last night. Charles Barkley, asked him if, like why they don't run more plays for him. And the response from Siakam is so good. And you have to have guys like this on your team if you want to win. And it means even more when they're one of your best players.
He don't run no plays for you. And you end up, when you go crazy some games, do you ever say, man, if y'all ran a play for me every now and then, I can get 25 a night?
I mean, that's not who we are, man. At the end of the day, the team knows, coach knows, and that's the identity that we've had, since I've been here. One of the reasons I love playing here is just that, at the end of the day, it's just all about the team. And I'm always gonna fit in, man. I told him, just I'm here whenever you need me. I'm always ready. But it's all about team for us.
Pascal Siakam right there talking about the team. And that's what it's about for the Indiana Pacers. It is about the team. It is not about one individual. I need to hop back here in these YouTube comments, because someone said it earlier, and I got to find it. Oh, man. I think it was Ross. There we go. Ross Campbell over in the YouTube chat, Indy Sports Ticket. Head over there, subscribe, and hop in the chat. Saying, in each win of the series, we've had the Nesmith game in Game 1, the Siakam game in Game 2, and then last night was the Haliburton game. Who are we thinking tomorrow? And like that is who this team is, man. Like they are a team in every sense of the word. And it is so nice to have someone as mature as Siakam be able to sit there and be like, hey, I'm here when you need me, but you don't need to run plays for me, because I can get my points within the flow of the offense, cutting to the rim. If I have a mismatch, please throw it to me, but you don't have to throw it to me. I'm going to do whatever you need me to do for us to win these games. And you have to have players like that. You have to. And Pascal Siakam is that guy for the Indiana Pacers. He's been such a good leader for this Pacers team that's really young. And you need guys like him in your locker room. Obviously, you need guys like him on the floor as well. Now, you also need dudes like Bennedict Mathurin, who just stay in it. He just stayed in it, man. It was awesome. I loved watching Bennedict Mathurin play last night. I talked about him a little bit yesterday. He'd been struggling in the series. I thought he would play well last night. Didn't expect him to score 20 points in 12 minutes. He was amazing. 20 points, 2 rebounds, and 2 assists in 12 minutes. Like, that is incredible production. Kudos to him for just staying engaged, staying locked in, staying ready to go, because the Pacers do not win that game last night without him. He was the only guy for the Pacers who, scored off the bench. Obi Toppin hit a big 3 late, but he wasn't great offensively. McConnell struggled a little bit. Mathurin, he was the guy last night. Here is Coach Carlisle talking about Bennedict Mathurin after the game.
Proud of Ben Mathurin. The guy has stayed ready. Came in yesterday, worked, got shooting in, got some simulated game shots. Have just been encouraging him to stay ready, that we need him, and that the playoffs they're just a different animal. And so tonight he was great. Really gave us a huge lift and some really timely buckets. So really proud of him.
Coach Carlisle right there talking about Bennedict Mathurin and just how proud he is of him and his ability just to stay in it. And the thing I liked about it, he didn't do anything that wasn't him. Bennedict Mathurin only did the thing that makes him a special player. He took 8 shots, only 2 of them were threes. He got to the foul line 11 times in 12 minutes. That's absurd. He was relentless in getting to the rim. Some of those free throws that he took came off of getting fouled while chasing rebounds. He was just relentless in everything that he did, whether that was driving to the rim, getting in a stance and guarding. He went after rebounds like a madman. He was awesome. And it was so big. It was so nice to see. And I think he was great because he got going early. You know, he hit his first 4 shots, he hit his first shot 4 seconds after he came off the bench. He hit his second shot 30 seconds after he came off the bench. Like, he was in the flow of the offense so quickly and so early. And like, that's a good feeling when you see your first shot go in and then you see your second shot go in, especially when you've been struggling. And, you know, he's 20 points in 12 minutes is just insane. 11 free throws in 12 minutes is insane. He was so good in those first 11 minutes that he played that Coach Carlisle actually opted for him to play over Andrew Nembhard when he subbed in all the starters with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Patrick Wright, he chimed in over on the YouTube chat as well, saying if Mathurin has another good game and Nembhard does not, you might want to start Ben instead. I don't know if they're going to do that, but Mathurin earned minutes last night. And we saw it in that fourth quarter when Coach Carlisle decided to go with Bennedict Mathurin over Andrew Nembhard with the starters with 8 minutes left to go in the fourth quarter. Usually that is an all-starters lineup right there, but he went with Mathurin for 2 possessions because he'd been scoring. Then Mathurin was like, let me take a 3 fading out of bounds into the bench in the right corner. That's probably a good shot. And then Coach Carlisle was like, that's not a good shot. And he pulled the plug immediately after that happened. But the fact that Coach Carlisle was going with Mathurin before that bad shot speaks to how well he was playing. And this is why you keep showing up. This is why you have to stay in it, especially if you're a role player like Bennedict Mathurin is. It doesn't matter how bad Tyrese Haliburton or Pascal Siakam are. Like, they're going to get a ton of touches. They're going to get the benefit of every doubt because they're the 2 stars. They are the 2 best players. If you're a role player, especially on this Pacers team that has a ton of depth, your opportunities go up and down so fast because the Pacers have a lot of good players on this roster. And when your number is called, you have to be ready when you get a chance to play. To Bennedict Mathurin's credit, he was ready last night, and he played a huge role in helping the Pacers close quarters. Last night was the first game in this series where the Pacers closed every quarter well. Like, they won the final 2 minutes of the first quarter. They won the final 2 minutes of the second quarter. They won the final 2 minutes of the third quarter, and they, held the Knicks off at the end of that fourth quarter. And a lot of it had to do with Bennedict Mathurin coming in off the bench and finding ways to score. And I'm so glad he did. He was the only bench player for the Pacers who was good. Tony Bradley did his job rebounding and doing those things, but he didn't swing the game. Obi Toppin was fine in the 18 minutes he played. TJ McConnell was, he had 6 points and 3 assists and a steal. I thought he was so much worse than that. Ben Shepherd can't guard Brunson. I don't know why Coach Carlisle keeps going to him. Part of me kind of wishes that they would just try out Jarris Walker because those minutes with Ben Shepherd defending Jalen Brunson haven't been good at all in this series. So just a really impressive performance from Mathurin last night, and one that the Pacers really needed because their bench just wasn't as good as it has been in previous games. When we come back here in about 4 minutes, more thoughts on Pacers-Knicks Game 4. And then tomorrow's show, I can tell you right now, we're all Pacers all the time, baby, as this team is on the verge of heading back to the NBA Finals for the first time in 25 years. Pretty incredible. More thoughts on Pacers-Knicks Game 4, Aaron Nesmith's impact, a crazy Aaron Nesmith stat that you're going to want to hear when we come back here in about 4 minutes.
fits in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, no matter how you're tuning in, whether that's YouTube, Indy's Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching on Twitter, __ Jonathan Smith, if you would follow me and watch the show there. Or maybe you're listening via that Indy Sports Ticket app, which you can download wherever you get your apps. Pacers, Knicks, Game 4. Oh, man, another big-time win, 130-121. The Pacers did a much better job last night of dealing with Karl Anthony Towns in that fourth quarter. They didn't deal with him at all in Game 3, and he scored 20 points. And, if you have someone score 20 points in the fourth quarter, that team's probably going to win. In fact, in this series, teams are 2-0 when they have a player score 20 points or more in the fourth quarter. Aaron Nesmith did it in Game 1. Karl Anthony Towns in Game 3. Knicks won Game 3. Pacers won Game 1. Last night, Karl Anthony Towns only scored 8 points in the fourth, 3 of 7 shooting. That is much easier to counter as opposed to seeing him go off for 20. So, he wasn't great last night. He was good. He had some stretches like in that second quarter when the Knicks kind of crawled back into it. It was powered by Karl Anthony Towns and his scoring. Very impressive performance from him. 24 points. He was their leading scorer, 24 and 12. The fact that he only took 15 shots, the fact that OG Anunoby and Jalen Brunson are both taking more shots than Karl Anthony Towns last night is just absurd. That is an incorrect thing on the Knicks' part. Karl Anthony Towns should take more shots than any other Knick because the Pacers have no answer for him. None whatsoever. And so thank you, New York Knicks, for not just shoving Karl Anthony Towns down the Indiana Pacers' throat. Because like I said, they have no answer for him, whereas Jalen Brunson, who took the most amount of shots last night for the New York Knicks, also the most amount of free throws, he got off to a hot start. He's 5 of 9 from the floor in that first quarter, scored 13 points. But after that, he wasn't very good. Only scored 18 points on 4 of 10 shooting. And if it wasn't for all of the free throws that he shot, then Jalen Brunson, wouldn't have had 31. It'd have just been, another Jalen Brunson game. And so I was really impressed last night with Aaron Nesmith, a guy that we all had questions about, and rightfully so. Okay? He rolls his ankle, and, it's but he played the final 7 minutes of Game 3. So I thought that he would be fine. But it comes out on the bad ankle, and he looked normal. He hit 2 threes early. He had a dunk in transition. He finished the game with 16 points. He was a pest the entire game on Jalen Brunson. He scored 16 points. He was a game high plus 20. And this is my favorite stat of the night last night. Listen to this. Shout out Nate Duncan, who was an excellent follow on Twitter. Jalen Brunson scored 31 points last night. Jalen Brunson, when defended by Aaron Nesmith, was 3 of 13 from the field, and he only scored 10 points. Aaron Nesmith defended Jalen Brunson for 30 minutes. In the 7 minutes that Jalen Brunson was not defended by Aaron Nesmith, Jalen Brunson was 6 of 6 shooting. He shot 8 free throws. He made 7 of them, and he scored 21 points. Aaron Nesmith has done just an outstanding job defending Jalen Brunson throughout this series. And it is why the Pacers are up 3-1. To be able to walk out there after rolling your ankle as badly as he did in Game 3, and to not only score, because the way that he scores, it's a lot of catch and shoot and running in transition. It's he's not cutting a lot. It's a lot of straight line stuff. But then to go out there and play defense and fight over every screen. I want there to be an Oklahoma City Thunder, Indiana Pacers NBA Finals just to watch Aaron Nesmith and Alex Caruso fight over screens, because they do it better than anyone else. They are both unscreenable. It is incredible to watch Aaron Nesmith navigate all of these screens and to stay attached to Jalen Brunson and to make his life so incredibly hard. super impressed with Aaron Nesmith last night and his ability to gut through just whatever pain he was playing through. And that's why the Pacers won. They won because Jalen Brunson wasn't great and Karl Anthony Towns wasn't great. That is a large part of it. Like, Pascal Siakam was better than Towns and Tyrese Haliburton was better than Brunson. If that happens again, the Pacers will win. And it wasn't just that. Like, that's not the only reason why the Pacers won, even though it was a large part of it. The Pacers forced the Knicks to turn the basketball over 17 times, and they scored 20 points off of those turnovers. They got out-rebounded by 11, but it didn't matter because they forced so many turnovers. They were able to push the pace because of that. A lot of those turnovers were live ball turnovers. And when that happens, it's obviously easier to get out and run. Okay, they dominated the pace. 22 fast break points for the Indiana Pacers. They got layups after inbounding the ball, after made Knicks shots. I mean, they were just up and down the floor, and they did not slow down. It was great. They pushed the pace, and that's why they won. The moments when the Knicks were getting back into the game was when the pace slowed down. Okay, the Pacers controlled the pace more than the Knicks, and that's why they won. And it's a large part of why I love the way that Tyrese Haliburton played last night. People are going to talk about the shooting and the playmaking and the rebounding, as they should, but he controlled the pace, and that's what great point guards do. He was amazing. Nesmith was awesome. Mathurin was great off the bench. Siakam had 30. Miles Turner, his box score isn't crazy, but I thought he was good and impactful last night. 3 blocks. Was working hard trying to stop Towns and the Karl Anthony Towns stiff arm. The number of times Towns extended that arm going to the rim was really annoying. It felt like the refs were protecting him from fouling out. But man, like, I just love the way that this Pacers team played last night. And Ross chimed in earlier during the show over on YouTube, Indie Sports Ticket. Subscribe, hop in the chat, be part of the conversation. Ross chimed in and made a comment about how, in each game that the Pacers have won, that they've had a game from someone. It's like game 1's the Nesmith game, game 2's the Siakam game, game 4 last night was the Haliburton game. And he asked, who are we thinking tomorrow? Nembhard's due. Nembhard is due. Nembhard has been bad. He has been bad so far in this series. I'm still waiting on him to have a big game. He was 1 of 9 from the floor last night. He only scored 3 points. He struggled to defend OG Anunoby, which makes sense. That's a tough matchup for him. He hasn't been great on Brunson. He's just been bad. 1 of 9 last night, 2 of 9 in game 3, only scored 9 points. Game 2, he was okay, 12 points, only 2 assists though. Game 1, that was probably his best game, 15 points, 4 assists. And I don't want to be too hard on him just because I don't think he has the ball as much as he normally does, which he shouldn't in this series because it's a big one. And as much as I love Nembhard and I love what he does for this Pacers team, I want Haliburton to have the ball, right? So maybe game 5 is the Nembhard game because, as Ross said earlier, he is due. Voluntary OTAs begin for the Indianapolis Colts today. I am excited. I can't wait to see the videos posted by the Indianapolis Colts on Twitter. I actually need to set their post notifications on because I want to know everything. I want to see every video of Anthony Richardson dropping back and letting that thing rip. I want to see every video of Daniel Jones doing the exact same thing because since we're at voluntary OTAs, we don't have pads yet, but we're going to get a better look at who can really play between Daniel Jones and Anthony Richardson. There should be no more throwing the football when it's 1 on nobody. The Colts can now actually run 11 on 11 and 7 on 7 drills. Like, we're going to start learning about how these two players really stack up. Because, like the videos of Anthony Richardson and Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard throwing in shorts on air, fantastic. Love it. You can, see slight differences and how Anthony Richardson's throwing the football this year compared to last year, and that's cool, and that's great, and that's wonderful. But it's a little bit different when someone's bearing down on you. It's a little bit different when there's actually, defensive backs out there getting in the way. And, so much of playing quarterback in the NFL is not making throws. Like, obviously it is, but it starts before the snap. It starts when you break the huddle and you look and you survey the defense and you say, okay, like they're going to be, in cover 3, which means that this guy should be open. And if that guy's open, then I can throw it to this guy and all that kind of stuff. It's great. With that being said, I saw this. Shout out Todd Whitehead. No idea who that is. But he posted an incredible graphic. Tyrese Haliburton, I don't know how he got all of this information, but Tyrese Haliburton passed the ball. He threw 77 passes last night, and they traveled a total of 444 yards. So last night, Tyrese Haliburton threw 77 passes for 440 yards last night without an interception. Pretty incredible. According to, Field Yates, that would give you a 99.7 QBR for a game, which would be the third highest for any quarterback in a game since ESPN began tracking QBR. Well, just once again, just another weird stat, but great stat that just kind of indicates how awesome Tyrese Haliburton was last night. And hopefully Anthony Richardson or Daniel Jones or whoever winds up being the starting quarterback for the Indiana Pacers, or for the Indianapolis Colts, hopefully, they can play as well as our boy Tyrese Haliburton did last night. The Fever, they play tonight. No Caitlin Clark. She's out for at least 2 weeks, and I can't wait to see the ratings. I can't wait to see whether or not people decide to go to the game, because the game is in Washington. They're playing the Mystics. The Mystics had to move their game from wherever they normally play to where the Wizards play to accommodate all the people who want to come and watch Caitlin Clark. And she's not going to play. And I'm so intrigued to see if all these people who bought tickets to see the Fever play, I want to know if they bought tickets to see the Mystics and the Fever, or if they just bought tickets to see Caitlin Clark. I'm telling you right now, I'm not watching the game because Caitlin Clark's not playing. And I know that I am not the only person in the world who feels that way. I'm not. I'm watching the WNBA when Caitlin Clark is on TV, and that's really it. I don't care to see Asia Wilson. I don't care to see anyone for the Washington Mystics. I want to see Caitlin Clark. And I believe that most of the people that watch the WNBA are like me. Now, there's some diehard WNBA fans out there, and that's cool. That's great. Good for you. I want to see Caitlin Clark play basketball, though. She's not playing tonight, so I'm not watching. I'm going to go back when the game's over. I'm going to, find little highlight clips, and I'm going to see if I can tell how many people are in that stadium, how many people actually showed up. Because that people bought tickets, but are they actually going to show up for the games? And then I want to see if the ratings come out, because they are so quick to show the ratings for WNBA games whenever they're good. They love to show them. They are so quick. With that being said, I am very intrigued to see whether or not they're going to post those ratings after the game tonight, because I can tell you right now, there are going to be so many less viewers of that game tonight. And I'm very intrigued to see what the reaction is going to be after that happens. I will talk about that tomorrow. I'm going to talk about Pacers-Knicks Game 5, what the Pacers need to do to close that game out tomorrow night. I'm going to talk about that. And probably, I'm sure we'll have some sort of Colts voluntary OTA story. Seems like everyone showed up, which is good. And yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to tune into The Real Jonathan Smith Show. I'll be back again tomorrow from 10 to noon. Dan Dockett Show from noon to 3 today. Got a couple great guests coming up. 1 o'clock, Ben Howlett, the new coach at IU Indy. And then later, 1:30, Tim Legler is set to join the show to talk a little bit of Indiana Pacers. The Dan Dockett Show comes your way here in about 5 minutes. I'll be back on the air tomorrow from 10 to noon.